Hello, Butch. Mike here. Thank you very much for sending your golf swings over. You had mentioned in your email that you are a good golfer and you're experiencing pushes and snap hooks. So when somebody says to me that, or you said smother hook, excuse me, but a pretty damaging hook. So when someone says that they are pushing or hooking or both, we're expecting to see their club travel from inside the target line over here and pretty much out across the target line before the club comes back in again. Someone who slices, a slicer would have a path that goes a little bit more this way out to in. So you're probably doing a little bit too much of a good thing. Let's take a look here at Adam Scott first down the target line. Okay, here he is. And notice how, as he starts his downswing, his hands, they don't move out this way towards the target line. They're gonna he's gonna turn his shoulders, unwind his shoulders, and his hands just kind of come straight down. He's gonna have a swing that's a little bit from the inside, but not too much. Now we're gonna take a look at you, and you're filming your video indoors, so you're just gonna have more shaft blur in your swing. There's not much you can do about that from a video standpoint. But watch how your hands are gonna drop under more severely. So see you really drop under a lot more, and you're going to come more from the inside, probably with that sort of a swing path. Okay, but let's talk about why you're having the trouble with that club face consistency. I'm going to switch over to your face-on view. So let's grab that other shot that you took. Get rid of Adam Scott there. Okay, so let's take a look here at what's going on. So as you, and I'm going to bring in actually a face-on view of another player. And we're going to use Rory McIlroy here. You may notice if you have watched other videos that we've done, I use a lot Adam Scott and Rory here because we get some really good shots of them with good camera angles. Notice how Rory is going to turn his hips and turn his shoulders, but we're not going to see his hips slide back at all. So he's truly just turning his hips and shoulders, and that allows him to have his arms stay extended because centrifugal force is just allowing the club and his arms to work as a nice unit here. Let's watch what you're going to do. I'm going to put a line on your hip also. And as you get started, you start off pretty well with your shoulders, but what's going to happen is we're going to start to see a little bit of a lift up here where you start lifting with your hands a little bit and raising up a little. And you can see now your hip is moving a little bit backwards and you're getting kind of close to having your spine tilting in the wrong direction versus you can see how Rory's spine is tilted in the other direction. So what happens is a guy like Rory, because he's just turning his hips and shoulders so well in his pivot, he can unwind pretty easily and his hands stay right in front of his chest and he just matches up down towards the bottom of his swing, and as he makes contact with the ball, his hands leave that club head through impact, and he's got a very consistent angle of attack and a very consistent club face. We're going to watch as you make your downswing. What happens is because your spine gets reversed here at the top, at impact you are going to have to get your spine tilted the way that Rory is tilted here. So you're going to have more movement laterally with your hips moving forward, and then what happens is your body gets out ahead of your hands a little bit, and then to catch up and make contact, there's a little bit of a flip of the wrist down at the bottom. And again, I know it's hard to see because it's blurry, but what's happening is your club head is starting to sneak past your hands here through impact, and that's going to cause inconsistent club face angles, and that's going to cause a lot of times you'll have a situation where your club is coming from the inside of the target line, but the club face gets closed and you can hit a pull, a snap hook or a smother hook, exactly what you described. So there's a couple things that I'd like to have you do, and what we want to have them affect is this. I'm going to go back to that Rory picture again. We get rid of all these lines first. First thing I'd like to have you work on is going to be your pivot. So we want to have you be able to achieve this position where you set up, you have an imaginary line behind your hip, and you should do this looking in a mirror, and then you're going to turn back. You're going to turn your hips and shoulders without sliding back. and you're going to achieve this angle where your torso is tilted like this right here. Okay. The next thing we want you to be able to do is we want you to be able to hit an impact bag or do drills, little chip shot drills, and make sure that when you're coming through impact that your hands lead the club head. So as you get in your downswing, you want to have almost all your weight on your left leg and your front leg, and you want that handle ahead of the club head at impact like that. So you move the club very athletically. You do a lot of good things in your golf swing. Your swing path really, it's in to out for sure, but I'd rather have you be in to out than out to in. But this impact position here is the thing that can really make a pretty big difference right here. So I'm going to attach the impact bag drill for you, as well as a punisher drill, another drill we can use an alignment stick for to help us out with. And I think you'll be surprised at the results you get by getting weight forward, hands forward a little bit better at impact. So please feel free to pop me an email if you have any questions, and hopefully this is helpful to you. Thanks again so much for sending the video over, Butch.
Okay, the pivot, here it is. We're going to think about the way our spine is working, our shoulders and hips are working. So when we set up to a golf shot, remember this. For a right-handed golfer, your right hand is lower on the club than your left hand, so our right shoulder should be lower than our left shoulder. And what that does is that tilts our spine a little bit so that the top part of my spine is farther from the target than the lower part of my spine. And what we want to do is, as much as possible, we want to maintain the orientation of this tilt to our upper body. So a good-looking pivot would look kind of like this. And you can see what's happening is I'm maintaining my torso angle so that the top of my torso up here is farther from the target than the bottom end of my torso. Really, really common. If you look at yourself in the mirror, if you look at yourself on video, we see a lot of golf swings where the right hip or the back hip slides backwards. And look what happens as my hips slide backwards. I get a reverse pivot. I'm actually not able to turn my shoulders or my hips properly, and I end up with a out to in swing path. A lot of times we end up with a reverse weight shift coming through. We hit top shots and chunk shots and all that. So here's the pivot drill. We're going to set up looking in a mirror with the club right up on top of our shoulders like this. I'm going to get down into my golf posture. And again, I'm a right-handed golfer, so my right shoulder is lower than my left shoulder. All right? And I'm going to look in the mirror, and I'm going to make sure that I'm turning my hips and shoulders, and I'm maintaining this relationship where my spine stays tilted. Okay? I do not want to end up with this sort of a thing. All right? We need to get back over here. Now, when we look at things from down the target line, the next part is this. I'm tilted. Again, this is my primary spine angle, we call it. You can see that obviously I've got a tilt. I'm not straight up and down here. So when we do our drill, I'm going to look in the mirror again. I need to make sure my back shoulder is lower than my front. And I'm going to maintain now the tilt this way as well. So this is something that's really critical. At first, when we have somebody that's got a problem with their pivot, they will tend to, when they do this drill, come this way. And, at least I'm getting at least when I do it that way, I am keeping the orientation correct over here, but we need to keep it correct on both angles, both down the target line as well as from the face-on view. Okay, so this is something you can do, practice in front of a mirror, and what I would recommend is start off with this face-on view where you can see that trail shoulder comes down. We've got a spine tilt here, and we can turn the shoulders and turn the hips. I'm just not sliding the hips and letting them turn. This is something that's a lot easier to do with a club up like this than it is with your hands on the club. It's just a lot harder at first to do it while you're swinging the club. Once you get it down from this point of view, then start looking at yourself in the mirror this way. Okay, I've got this nice tilt to my spine going this way, my good posture. I'm going to maintain it, and I want my shoulders to turn 90 degrees relative to my spine. I don't want that to happen. Okay, so that's the way it is down the line. That's the way it is face on. Practice this 5 or 10 minutes a day, and your golf game will get a whole lot better.
The impact bag helps us get into the correct impact position. Notice how our weight is forward and hands are forward. The Punisher drill. So with this drill we're working on correct impact position. So we've got this alignment stick that we're going to hold underneath our golf shaft. And the idea here is that we want to encourage weight forward, hands forward position. So you see here as we get down here through impact, our hands will be forward and our weight will be forward. Now this is a little bit of an exaggeration, but what we're really looking to do is be able to create a really good solid impact position. And I'm going to show you what we really want to look like at impact. This is Rory McIlroy. And you see he's got his weight forward, hands forward. Oftentimes when we see somebody who's got problems, their shaft will be leaning back like this and they'll be scooping with their wrists. So let's take a look at this drill on the left hand side. So as we hit this shot, weight moves forward onto the front foot, and then you can see at impact the hands are forward as well. We just barely missed impact, but at impact you can see a nice flat left wrist, and as we move Rory through, a similar type of position. Again, on the left hand side we're just hitting chip shots, and by hitting those chip shots with the Punisher, it's really going to help you with your overall impact position as well as really help you overall.
Be sure to check out our YouTube channel for more instructional videos.